Commander Malik Khan stared out through the cracked viewport of the survey ship Navara, his heart pounding as the distant starfield shifted aimlessly. The ship's engines lay silent, power dwindling to life support levels only. Around him, the small crew pilot Lena Ortiz, engineer Marco Silva, and medic Arjun Patel moved like ghosts in corridors lit by emergency red strips. Every console blinked warnings. Oxygen at 50%. Reactor integrity at 30. Hull breaches in 2 sectors. 3 days ago. Navarra had answered a routine distress beacon from an uncharted system on the fringes of human space. The crew expected an abandoned mining station or a malfunctioning freighter. Instead, they found only silence and evidence that whatever had been here was gone. No wreckage, no survivors, just gaping craters on the moon's surface and then a fine layer of ash drifting through the station's open airlocks. Back on the bridge, Malik keyed his personal log. Day 3 after abandoning signal origin, he spoke quietly. Hull damage critical. Life support holding for now. Ship drifting, no contact from command or nearby colonies. All attempts at remote repair have failed. He pressed the comm panel off, the red light flickering in acknowledgement. Hope was thinking faster than their Lena ran a hand through her short-cropped hair. Sir, navigation computers still won't calibrate. We can't plot a course to known lanes. We're stuck. Her voice echoed in the cramped bridge. She gripped the throttle lever as if it might spring the engines back to life with enough conviction. Marco emerged from the engineering access hatch. Soot streaked across his face. I've jury-rigged a bypass to reroute power from non-essential systems. But at this rate, we'll have 20 hours of full life support, maybe less if the breaches worsen. He adjusted a loose panel on a shattered console, sending sparks. Into the dim air, Arjun hovered nearby, preparing a sedative in case panic set in. People are starting to panic, he said softly. I've had to calm Elena in medbay twice. She's convinced we're already dead. He offered a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mullet closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. He reminded himself this crew counted on his calm. Set the reactor to minimum core output, he ordered. Seal off any breach we can't fix, immediately. Marco, I need you to scavenge parts from Cargo Bay C. Lena. Run daily environmental. Scans for floating debris stations or ships. Arjun, keep everyone together. No one goes to sleep without 3-hour shifts for leaving them. They worked in silence. The ship groaned as it drifted through empty space, every movement amplified by the hull's fractures. The weight of the void pressed in on them, a reminder that out here, help was a myth. Dust motes floated in the stale air, illuminated by emergency lights. Each crew member felt it, the slow tick of a countdown clock no one wanted to acknowledge. Hours passed. Engineers patched breaches. Lena recalibrated sensors despite failing processors. Arjun kept morale up with rationed coffee and whispered encouragements. Malik studied the star charts, unwilling to believe this would be their end. He pictured home, crowded ports, humming factories, friendly faces. He refused to let that memory slip away. Just as Marco finished securing a panel in the engine room, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms screamed. Panels rattled loose. Lena's voice crackled over the comm. Commander, I'm picking up a faint signal. It's human. Stronger than anything we've heard since we left the beacon. Malik's pulse quickened. On my way. He dashed across the corridor, adrenaline driving out his fatigue. He reached the bridge as Lena keyed in the source bearing. It pulsed through the static, a steady, rhythmic thrum that spoke of engines. Idling, not drifting, debris. Not a ghost, Malik whispered, disbelief and relief warring in his chest. A ship. They watched the view screen. At first, there was nothing but black. Then, a pinprick of light, a hull's reflection moving steadily closer. A human vessel sleek, armored, and alive pierced the silence of space. Hope flared, bright in Malik's chest, burning away the resignation that had settled over them. Prepare a boarding party, he ordered, voice firm. Whatever happens next, We won't go quietly. As the unknown ship's lights widened across the viewport, the crew of Navarra gathered at the bridge, eyes fixed on salvation, or the next trial. In the vast darkness, humanity's rescue had arrived, and with it, a chance to fight back against the void that had sought to swallow them whole. Asterisk, the rescue ship glided alongside Navarra, its hull lights glowing like watchful eyes against the blackness. Through the viewport, Malik watched as a docking clamp extended, metallic arms reaching toward their crippled vessel. A hiss of airlocks opening sounded in the corridor speakers. Relief and tension warred in his chest relief that help had come, tension at the unknowns that lay ahead. Lena's fingers flew over the comm panel, docking complete. External airlock pressurizing. Sir, do you read me? Malik responded, voice steady. Read you loud and clear. We're on standby. Arjun checked the medbay status. I'll be ready for any casualties. He motioned to a handful of rations and medical supplies stacked on a trolley. Marco wiped sweat from his brow. I'll help with hull seals once they open the passages. Moments later, the airlock doors slid aside with a pneumatic sigh. A tall figure in a dark gray uniform stepped through. Her helmet's visor retracted, to reveal warm brown eyes and a tight braid of auburn hair. She offered a nod. Commander Malik Khan? She asked, voice calm but urgent. That's me, Malik replied, stepping forward. You're from the rescue fleet? She held out a hand. Lieutenant Tara Wells, UNSS Athena. We received your distress beacon. Are you all right? Malik glanced at his crew. Lena gave a thumbs up, Marco gave a weak grin, and Arjun hovered by the medbay door. He turned back to Tara. We're alive, but barely. We have hull breaches, failing power, low oxygen. Tara's eyes widened. Follow me, we'll get you to safety. She led them down the corridor as Lena and Marco trailed behind. Every step they took echoed through Navarra's fractured hulls. In the rescue ship's medbay, Tara's team worked quickly. Arjun assisted with patching minor wounds and easing the crew onto gurneys. Lena received a sedative for extreme fatigue, and Marco was given nutrient paste and fluids. Malik watched from a corner, every pulse in his neck pounding with gratitude. When the immediate triage was done, Tara gestured toward a small briefing room. You can sit, Commander. Malik accepted a chair, still feeling unsteady on his feet. Tara pulled up a holoscreen. Your ship will be towed to Outpost Vega for full repairs. My orders are to bring you all safely home. She paused, studying his face. Your beacon came in as standard distress. Then we saw the state of your ship. What happened out there? Malik inhaled, gathering himself. We responded to an SOS on a dead-end channel. We expected an old freighter or a miner's spire. Instead, we found nothing but ash and craters. Then our own systems failed one breach after another. We tried to repair, but it was like the void itself was against us. Tara frowned. Ash? Craters? That sounds like a deliberate strike. She tapped the holoscreen, bringing up a schematic of the uncharted system. I'm sending this up the chain. We need to know who did this. Malik shook his head. We saw no ships, no weapons. Fire just aftermath. Maybe a comet strike. But the pattern looked too precise. Tara's eyes narrowed. Comets don't punch neat holes. She stood. Stay here. I'll arrange for a debrief with command once we clear your ship from orbit. Malik rose as well. Thank you, Lieutenant. He stepped into the corridor, relief performing somersaults in his gut. Lena and Marco waited by the door, both pale but alive. He forced a smile. We're safe for now. Lena exhaled, running a hand through her hair. I've never been so glad to leave a ship. Marco nodded. And I've never been so happy to see a hospital bed. As they moved toward the airlock back to Navarra, Arjun caught up. You know what worries me, he said quietly. This wasn't an accident. Someone or something wanted us dead. Malik placed a reassuring hand on Arjun's shoulder. We'll find out who, and we'll make sure they can't hurt anyone else. They stepped into Navarra's corridor, which now felt less like a tomb and more like a wounded animal in need of care. The Athena's towing cables snaked through the airlock behind them, ready to haul the ship to safety. Through the viewport, stars streaked past as the Athena's thrusters engaged. Pace quickened, shuttling both ships toward Outpost Vega. Malik looked back at the battered hull of Novara, his crew huddled together under the red emergency lights, shadows dancing on wounded metal. He drew a slow breath. The silence of space had nearly killed them. But human resolve and the arrival of a single ship had broken that silence. It had turned their despair into hope. And as they left the dead system behind, Malik knew their fight had only just begun. Someone had tried to kill them. Now it was time to uncover the truth and ensure that no more souls would be left to perish in the void. Asterisk. The towing cables taut between the UNS Athena and Novara hummed softly as both ships coasted toward Outpost Vega. In the Athena's common area, the rescue crew settled onto bunks and seats, wrapped in warm blankets. Medic Arjun Patel checked Lena's vitals, while Marco Silva quietly nibbled on a hot ration pack. Commander Malik Khan stood by a viewport, watching the stars drift by. Lieutenant Tara Wells entered, holding a data pad. "Command wants your initial report before we reach port," she said. Her tone was brisk but caring. She tapped the pad, projecting a summary of damage to Novara and their own medical logs. Malik nodded and took a seat at a small table. "I'll give you what we know." The distress signal came from an uncharted system. When we arrived, we found ash-coated craters at every station and no survivors. Then Novara suffered cascading hull breaches, seemingly without cause. Terra flipped through. "The data. Your engineer patched 2 breaches, but the rest appeared simultaneously." Marco spoke up, voice low. "Yes, it was like pressure blasts from inside the walls. I've seen micrometeorite strikes, but never like that. The holes were too neat." Arjun added, "Our sensors were scrambled just before each breach." We had no warning. Terra paused, eyes narrowed. "Sensor jamming, then targeted structural failure. Someone planned to kill you." She tapped the pad again. "Command is dispatching an inquiry team. You'll be interviewed and possibly assigned to an investigative fleet." Lena looked up, pale but alert. "We just want to get home." Malik placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll tell them what happened. But if someone wants to silence us, we have to be ready." Tara stood. "Understood. Once we arrive at Vega, medical teams will take over. Then command will debrief you. I suggest you rest. There's a long journey ahead." As Tara left, Malik turned to his crew. "We rest as best we can. Tomorrow, we face questions, and we need our strength." That night, in separate bunks, each member wrestled with unease. Lena dreamt of empty corridors echoing with distant explosions. Marco's sleep was haunted by visions of geometric wounds in metal. Arjun listened for the soft hiss of escaping air dot in the dawn hours. Malik awoke before the others. He walked the Athena's lower decks, tracing his fingertips along the cool bulkhead. He thought of Earth's convoys, peacekeepers, and explorers, and of the unseen enemy that ambushed his ship. Whoever they were, they had knowledge of human protocols and weaknesses. Ahead, Outpost Vega appeared, halo of lights against darkness, orbiting a blue-green world. Rescue shuttles met the convoy, and docking clamps clicked into place. Malik rejoined his crew in the common area. Their eyes met determination shining through fatigue. They had survived near certain death. Now, in the heart of human space, they would seek answers and justice for those left to perish in silence. As airlock doors hissed open to Vega's docking bay, Malik squared his shoulders. The next phase of their ordeal awaited, uncovering the truth behind the attack and ensuring no other ship would vanish in the void. Without a trace, the docking bay doors slid open with a rush of recycled air as Navarro was guided into the heart of Outpost Vega. Crew members from the inquiry team waited by the gangway, data pads in hand and neutral expressions on their faces. Commander Malik Khan led his team through the sterile corridor, every footstep echoing on polished steel floors. Their eyes flicked toward the overhead lights. bright enough to banish any lingering shadows and harsh enough to strip away any comfort. Lieutenant Terrawells joined them in the bay. You'll be held in separate rooms for initial questioning, she explained quietly. Arjun and Lena will go first. Marco and you, Commander, follow afterward. They'll collect physical, evidence DNA swabs, suit fragments, sensor logs. Don't volunteer theories. Stick to facts. Malik nodded, suppressing the tension in his shoulders. Understood. Arjun and Lena were led down a corridor lined with frosted glass panes. Behind each pane, muted voices drifted. Arjun felt claustrophobic, as if the walls were closing in, reminding him of Nora's failing hull. Lena kept her head high, though her pulse fluttered and her throat got in a small chamber. An investigator in a crisp uniform waited beside a hollow projector. Lieutenant Patel, she said, flipping through records. Let's begin with your account. Arjun took a seat behind the metal desk and spoke clearly, recounting every sensor spike and every hiss of escaping air. As he spoke, the investigator's fingers flew over the pad, capturing details with professional detachment. Meanwhile, Lena found herself across from a young analyst who studied her over rimless glasses. The analyst's questions were precise. Timeline of injuries, locations of breaches, any unusual readings on the long-range scanners. Lena answered each one, steadying her voice against the memory of sparks and blood in the corridor. Back in the bay, Malik and Marco waited for hours. They watched docking crews maneuver cargo panels and heard the distant hum of a VOA core. The station felt alive, vibrant, and confident in its safety. Navarra, by contrast, felt like a wounded bird. Finally, Marco was summoned. The investigators. The room was stark, lit only by a single overhead panel. Marco laid out his engineering notes, diagrams of hull plating, and the jury-rigged bypass he'd installed. He described the precise angles of each breach, how the metal curled inward, and how none matched natural causes. When it was Malik's turn, he entered a larger conference room. 3 senior officers sat behind the curved desk. Their expressions were unreadable. Malik took a deep breath and delivered his statement. The discovery of craters coated in ash, the unexplained sensor jamming, and the serial breaches that nearly killed his crew. He spoke slowly, focusing on clarity. After he finished, the lead officer, an older woman with silver hair, leaned forward. Commander Khan, your report raises serious concerns. You have done well to keep your crew alive. We will launch a full investigation into this attack. In the meantime, you and your crew are excused and may rest. Expect to be reassigned once we have leads. Malik bowed his head in thanks, relief, and frustration mingling in his chest. He exited the conference room to find Marco waiting. Any idea who did this? Marco asked softly. Malik shook his head. Not yet. But whoever hit us once might strike again. They returned to the bay where Lena and Arjun rejoined them, faces pale but determined. In the harsh Vega lighting, they looked like survivors stepping into a new battlefield, one of interrogation and unseen enemies. As they walked back toward their temporary quarters, the station's hum felt ominous. Outpost Vega was a beacon of human might, but beneath its calm surface lay secrets and politics. Malik realized that beyond repairing Navarra, beyond telling their story, they now faced the larger struggle of uncovering a conspiracy that threatened every ship in human space. And as the Vega doors closed behind them, he vowed silently that Navarra's crew would lead that fight, no matter where the path would take them. Asterisk. Early the next morning, Commander Malik Khan and Engineer Marco Silva joined Lieutenant Terrawells at a secure briefing room overlooking the A holomap of the crater system glowed between them. Terra tapped a control, zooming in on one of the largest impact sites. This is where your distress beacon originated, she said. A research outpost was here. We recovered these fragments. She slid a small container across the table. Inside lay twisted alloys stamped with the insignia of the Korvax Consortium, a mercenary outfit known for covert operations on the frontier. Marco picked up a shard and turned it in his gloved hand. These alloys aren't part of our standard hull materials, he observed. They matched the composition of their scout frigates. Malik's jaw tightened. Korvax has no business attacking civilian ships, Terra nodded. That's why Command wants you on the investigation team. We suspect someone hired Korvax. To clear the system and silence any witnesses, she paused. We need your technical expertise and first-hand account. Malik exchanged looks with his crew. Lena stepped forward, voice soft but firm. We're in. Let's find out who. Pulled the strings. Over the next hours, the four boarded a light reconnaissance shuttle bound for the cratered moon. Arjun kept sensor scanners active while Lena plotted the safest descent path. Marco carried repair kits in case they triggered a trap. Malik consulted, each as they prepared to land. The shuttle's thrusters flared, scattering dust as they touched down near a breached research dome. Blackened metal gaped where walls had collapsed. Inside, overturned consoles and shredded data drives lay scattered beneath piles of ash. Marco knelt by a console, wiping soot from the access port, still power in the backup battery. I might pull a trace log. He worked quickly, sweat beading on his brow under the suit helmet. Outside, Lena and Arjun scanned the perimeter. Arjun frowned at his handheld scanner. Radiation spiked to the east looks like a hidden cache. Malik led them toward a half-buried marked with Korvax symbols. He pried the lid open. Inside lay sealed data cubes and canisters labeled bioweapon prototype. Lena's eyes widened. They weren't cleaning house, they were covering up a weapon test. As the wind howled across the silent plains, the team realized the stakes had grown far larger than a stranded ship. Now they carried proof that a deadly conspiracy had stained human space, and that the void held secrets darker than mere silence. Asterisk. The wind whipped fine ash across the crater's rim as Commander Malik Khan and his team worked to secure the evidence. Marco Silva had finished downloading the research logs from the breach console and slung the data drive into a secured pouch. Lena Ortiz and Arjun Patel carried the canisters of bioweapon prototype toward the shuttle's cargo hold. Daya. Download complete, Marco reported. He tapped his wrist. Terra, send a small EVA team. We need extraction under guard. Lieutenant Wells's voice crackled over the comm. Copy that. 2 shuttles inbound in 10 minutes. Stay clear of the dome's unstable sections. Malik surveyed the dome's jagged edges. We don't have time to retreat far. Let's keep moving. They reached the shuttle just as 2 escort shuttles descended, their lights cutting through the dusty haze. Crews in reinforced suits approached, weapons holstered but at the ready. Their commanding officer, a stern-faced captain named Rios, stepped forward. Commander Khan, Rios said, voice low. Command flagged this operation as high priority. You'll come with us for debrief and quarantine protocols. Malik nodded, signaling his crew to board. Understood. Inside the shuttle, tension hung thick. The escort pilots sealed the hatch and initiated launch. Outside, the research dome receded into swirling gray dust dot as they climbed above the moons. Horizon, Lena watched the display, showing the 2 shuttle transports. Do you think they'll lock us up for this? She asked quietly. Arjun squeezed her shoulder. Better locked up than left to die. At least the truth's out. Marco plugged the lab data drive into the onboard analysis rig. Streams of coded data scrolled across the hollow display. I'm uploading the logs to Secure Channel, he said. This includes Korvax consortium contracts, bioweapon test results, and ship sensor traces. It names the employer someone within Command itself. Malik's eyes widened. An insider? Who would sanction biological warfare? Before Marco could answer, alarms blared. The shuttle shuddered violently. Lena grabbed a handle as warning. Lights flashed. What now? Malik called out. Arjun checked his scanner. Incoming hostile signatures. 2 unmarked fighters. Closing fast. The escort pilots sprang into action, rerouting power to thrusters. Outside the viewport, 2 sleek ships appeared from behind the moon's shadow, weapons pods aimed directly. At them, Rios cursed under his breath. They're trying to steal the data and silence us. Malik's mind raced. We can't outrun them in this shuttle. Marco, transfer the data drive to my secure compartment in Eva Pack. Lena, prepare. Emergency beacon. As Marco slid the drive into Malik's pack, the shuttle pitched again. Laser fire streaked across the viewport. One escort shuttle exploded in a flash of orange. Arjun grabbed Lena's arm. Brace for impact. The shuttle lurched, and sparks flew from the hull. Malik sealed his pack and activated the beacon. A desperate plan formed in his mind. The only way to keep the evidence safe was to jettison it into safe storage on Vega and draw the attackers away. He tapped his cum to Rios. Captain, I'm ordering an emergency EVA. Deploy my pack and seal the shuttle. Then put all power into evasive maneuvers. Rios' eyes met Malik's in the dim cockpit glow. Understood. He keyed commands. The aft airlock opened, exposing the shuttle to the void. Malik, clad in a survival suit, strapped on his pack. He took a deep breath. Good luck, he murmured to his crew. With a hiss, the airlock cycled. Malik ejected into space, suit thrusters pushing him clear of the shuttle. He watched as the shuttle veered off, flares erupting to create decoys. The two enemy fighters followed, guns blazing at the shuttle rather than at him. He floated alone in the black, tethered only by a short line. Heart pounding, he activated his beacon's secure uplink. Uploading critical data to Outpost Vega Safe Vault, he spoke into his cum. I'll rendezvous after confirmation. The upload progress bar climbed steadily. Behind him, red tracer beams fired past, splashing sparks off the shuttle's hull. He ignored them, eyes fixed on the uplink indicator. At last, upload complete. Malik's relief was instant, but brief. He hit the beacon's locate signal. A pinpoint of light from Vega's orbital defense grid locked onto his position. Incoming recovery drone, he read aloud. Stand by for pickup. Through the darkness, a small pod detached from an orbital platform. Its claw-like arms extended toward Malik's tether. A mechanical whir accompanied its approach. Suddenly, a warning blared in his suit. Proximity threat board code read. 2 fighter signatures appeared on his HUD, converging on his location. He keyed his suit's stealth mode, dimming his beacon. The recovery drone attached and pulled him inside just as laser blasts ignited around them. The pod's hatch sealed and its thrusters flared, carrying Malik back to Vega. Inside the pod, Malik unstrapped himself, breathing hard but alive. The secure data drive rested in its isolation chamber. Above him, the void remained silent. But on Outpost Vega, alarm sounded as defense batteries engaged the hostile fighters. Commander Khan knew that once the truth reached command, nothing could stop the coming storm, either of justice or of war. And as the pod docked, he braced for the final confrontation in this battle for humanity's soul. Asterisk. The recovery pod's hatch opened into a secure drive bay at Outpost Vega. Commander Malik Khan stepped out, eyes scanning the station's frenetic activity. Defense batteries on orbit engaged the fleeing fighters, but the real battle awaited. Inside the command tower, Lieutenant Tara Wells met him at the airlock, her face tense. They've confirmed the data upload. The drive contains proof of sanctioned attacks contract agreements, bioweapon tests, sensor logs, even the signature of Admiral Corbett. Her voice dropped. He's been orchestrating strikes to clear unclaimed systems for resource grabs. Malik's jaw tightened. He used the Korvax Consortium as his hit squad. Tara nodded. Command is assembling a tribunal. You and your crew are key witnesses. But be warned, Corbett's allies run deep. He has supporters willing to bury. This. Malik drew a steady breath. Then we bring everything into the light. No cover-ups. Together, they rode the express elevator to the command tower's council chamber. The doors slid open onto a hexagonal floor. At its center, a semicircle of officers faced a raised dais where Admiral Corbett himself stood flanked by guard officers. His uniform was immaculate, his posture defiant. Malik stepped forward, Arjun, Lena, and Marco just behind him. He addressed the council in clear, firm tones. I am Commander Malik Khan of the survey ship Navara. My crew and I bring evidence of crimes against humanity, authorized biological warfare, and covert attacks on civilian vessels. He turned to Tara and she projected the data, hollow logs of craters, Korvax contracts, video clips of shuttle dogfights, and Corbett's digital signature approving each strike. Gasps echoed around the chamber as each file played. Corbett's face paled. He straightened, voice cold. These are fabrications. Korvax mercenaries operate independently. I have no involvement. Lena stepped forward. Then explain why my ship was disabled and my friends nearly died on that moon. Her voice shook, but did not break. Marco added, here's the sensor data showing jamming codes keyed to Korvax frequencies. And here, he held up the breach. Diagrams, precise engineering orders matching your secret R&D protocols. Arjun held the final piece, a recording of Corbett's private transmission ordering the clean sweep of witnesses. The chamber fell silent. A senior admiral, seated on the dais, stood. Admiral Corbett, these are serious charges. Do you have a response? Corbett's defiance crumbled. He glanced at his guards. They shifted uncomfortably. He cleared his throat. I authorize secure operations to protect vital resources. I did not intend civilian casualties. The admiral raised a hand. Violating the Geneva Accords and risking human lives without oversight is treason. She gestured to guards. Place him under arrest. Corbett's shoulders slumped as officers cuffed him. Murmurs of relief and outrage rippled through the council. Tara turned to Malik. You did it. You exposed a conspiracy that could have started a hidden war. Malik nodded, exhaustion and relief mingling in his eyes. My crew and I only did our duty. Outside the chamber, the sun rose over Viga's peaceful landscapes. The station's worst-kept secret was laid bare, and Admiral Corbett's betrayal would be met with justice. In the days that followed, Navarra was fully repaired. Malik's crew received commendations for bravery and honesty. Lena returned to piloting. Marco resumed engineering with renewed purpose, and Arjun helped revise medical protocols to prevent future biothreats. Commander Khan stood on the repaired bridge of Navarra, watching Viga fade behind them as they charted a new course. To the next uncharted system? Lena asked with a grin. Malik returned her smile, with eyes open and suspicions high. Humanity? We'll answer every yes, but now we'll be sure we can trust who we answer. As Navarra slipped into the starry void, its crew carried more than survival stories. They held the conviction that even when abandoned to perish, humanity's light would break the silence and bring truth to the darkest reaches of space. Asterisk.